What is cognitive load and why is it so important to training? Cognitive load is a concept which aims to determine how much the brain can process in working memory and transfer to long-term memory. The effectiveness of your training is dependent on a number of things, including the pace and the methods of information delivery. In the third edition of Instructional Design, Patricia Smith states, "Intrinsic load is load resulting from the number of elements a learner must simultaneously attend to in order to understand the material being learned." An example of this was provided in the last video on the use of visuals. When a slide full of text is displayed, and the facilitator talks the entire time it's up, expecting a person to read and listen at the same time exceeds their cognitive load. By adding text to this image, what does it feel like trying to process the visuals, auditory, and text simultaneously? Another form of this is cramming too much information into a training session. Look at the learning objectives and consider whether the things you expect to achieve in the course are realistic for the amount of time you have. I've seen an hour-long e-learning course with over 20 learning objectives. Is it feasible to cover a learning objective every 2 minutes? While it may be possible to provide content for each objective in 2 minutes, how much of that are the participants actually going to retain and be able to apply? The other cognitive load common error is moving too quickly or even straight to higher levels of application, analysis, and synthesis without properly covering the basic knowledge and skills. Moving from simple to complex or abstract concepts while increasing independence is called scaffolding. In order for your training to be effective, the content and facilitation methodologies need to incorporate scaffolding in order to avoid exceeding cognitive load. This is achieved by adequately covering the basics, engaging participants in exercise to apply the information, and then increasing the level of difficulty and independence. If you've ever played Tetris or most video games, consider how they're designed. They start out with a tutorial, then a very easy level to figure out the controls and how to win, and the levels continue to increase in difficulty by adding new challenges. Game developers provide excellent insight into engagement. Next time you're developing a course or preparing to teach, consider cognitive load. Are you presenting information in a way in which the brain can process it? Are your expectations for what can be achieved in the allotted time realistic and manageable? And are the participants walking before they can run? Are you preparing them to float and swim before you throw them in the deep end of the pool? I understand the time and budget constraints we're all under, but the biggest waste of time and money is ineffective training.